Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Desktop Ball. It's the only show where I sit at my desktop and talk ball. Today is Friday, January 17th, and we've got a mega episode for you here today. Just awkward schedule this week with honestly just with my life. Was unable to get a recap episode out and figured, let's mash them together. The recap episode, the preview episode. We had one of the best weekends of football last weekend. I think we have the best weekend of football of the year this coming weekend. So I would say, I mean, these are probably top two. And then, maybe some random weekend in October where maybe you get like Red River plus a few good NFL games. You know how it goes. But this weekend's going to be incredible. We've got NFL divisional round, college football national championship. Going to be a great weekend. But before we get to any of that, first, if you would interact with the show in which whatever way you feel comfortable, a like, a comment, share with a friend if you would, it would be very much appreciated. Football season coming to a close here. Would love to finish strong and then reload over the summer. Come back ready. Come back ready for a good season. And when the football goes into off season, we go into off season here too. I'm gonna learn everything I can about football over the offseason. I'm going to come back next year, an absolute guru. You're going to come in here, you're going to hear X's and O's, and you're going to be just in absolute disbelief at the knowledge that's being dropped on this podcast. So share it with a friend, subscribe, ring the bell, because when we do come back, we'll be coming back with a vengeance. All right, enough self-promotion here. Let's get into it. I want to start with college, mostly because that's where I had skin in the game. And I want to start with Texas, Ohio State. Ohio State 28, Texas 14, in maybe the most gut wrenching loss of my Texas fandom. The Oklahoma loss last year was also gut wrenching. The Washington loss was a little gut wrenching, but they jumped out on us. So it wasn't quite like, we're in this game, we deserve to win this game type of feeling. I genuinely feel like Texas played well enough to win this game. As a matter of fact, Texas did play well enough to win this game outside of maybe three plays. Maybe three plays that Ohio State's able to capitalize on. But while we're on the topic of the goal line, and the reason that we're on the topic of the goal line is because that Oklahoma loss last year. Maybe you don't remember, but Texas had first and goal, I believe, at the 1 against Oklahoma last year and could not punch it in. And that was sort of the beginning of the end of that game where Oklahoma is able to come back and it becomes a mess. Same thing here. Same thing in this game. Texas gets the ball down at the 1 yard line. Two pass interferences get them down to first and 1 on the goal line. 4 tries, can't get it in. So let's talk about that sequence. Let's talk about that sequence because that's really where the game was decided, right? Or rather, that's absolutely where the game was decided. The score is 21-14, Ohio State. Texas has some great momentum, has a great drive. In response to an Ohio State drive, that was an incredible drive as well for a touchdown. So Ohio State goes up 21-14. Texas is driving, gets the ball down to first and goal at the 1 following 2 pass interference penalties. Now, if you've watched any Ohio State football this year, you know that the goal line stand has been a marquee facet of the Ohio State defense. Notable goal line stands against Nebraska, against Penn State. I know I'm forgetting at least one, but I think they stuffed Indiana a few times as well. The goal line stand has been one of the most important things that Ohio State has been able to do successfully throughout the year. And mostly because teams are just not able to run between the tackles against this Ohio State team. So first and goal on the 1, Texas attempts to run between the tackles, stuffed. And, a coach who makes a game plan knows that Ohio State can stuff a run between the tackles. So Steve Sarkisian calls toss sweep out of shotgun. The ball starts, 8 yards from the goal line and needs to then travel 8 yards is unable to get it. The whole play is completely blown up. And you have to give credit to Ohio State. They got off the blocks like crazy. I mean, three guys beat their blocker in one-on-one matchups to get to Travion Wisner. Um, Quinn Travion Wisner, that is. Trey Wisner. And that blows up 3rd and 8, incomplete pass, 4th and 8, sack, fumble, 99 yards the other way. Jack Sawyer, touchdown, Ohio State legend now. And it's brutal. It really, really sucks. You would have liked to see Texas just try to pound the ball 4 times, and just say, we've got one of the better O lines in college football. We're either going to live or die by QB sneak, by tush push. Put Arch in and go tush push, something to that effect. But doesn't end up happening. Doesn't go our way, and that's the ball game. Ohio State is really good. I guess so. Let's talk about the other moment that decides this game, because we said it was about 3 plays. I would say that the 2nd-and-1 play on the goal line is one of the big ones. The sack fumble returned for a touchdown is a big one, because even if Ohio State just gets a sack there, just gets the ball back, with 4 minutes left, you're still alive as Texas to get a stop, which the defense did all night, and force a punt, get the ball back, and try again. The third play is TreVeyon Henderson. TreVeyon Henderson takes a 75-yard screen pass to the house, and Texas goes on this massive drive to tie the game 7-7, and everybody's saying, all right, we could go into halftime 7-7. We've got ourselves a ball game. Texas had all the momentum. The defense was playing lights out, and Ohio State was shooting themselves in the foot, which you knew you needed Ohio State to do a little bit of shooting themselves in the foot if you're going to win this game. Ohio State offensively, the play calling was not aggressive enough for my taste. The penalties killed themselves with penalties. So Texas has all this momentum, and to get, to tie it up 7-7, go into halftime with all the momentum, you'd be just feeling incredible. And first play, TreVeyon Henderson, 75-yard screen pass, touchdown. Texas blitzes a corner for no reason with 30 seconds left in the half. No reason to blitz a corner there. You cannot do that. Cardinal sin. And shocker, screen goes right to where the blitzing corner was coming from, and nobody's back in coverage, and the blockers are downfield. 75-yard touchdown, and you're just like, we just went on this 8-minute touchdown drive, and it's just wiped off the board in one play. And between that and the goal line stand, I mean, Texas played well enough to win this game and just made a couple big mistakes that, it just doesn't go our way. It feels terrible. It truly does feel terrible. I went into the game thinking Ohio State was going to pound us, and then to see our defense play as well as the defense played, it just really sucks to not come away with a win in that game. Quinn Ewers declares for the draft. Quinn Ewers declares for the NFL draft. Rumors that teams wanted him to transfer, that there was an NIL offer of $8 million, etc. Wanted him to go, transfer to another college. I frankly think he could use another year of development. Still runs into sacks. Still does not have particularly sound feet. And runs into sacks all the time. Still doesn't really change pace. Still doesn't really throw guys open. Does throw a very nice deep ball. The touch passes are great. And, there are moments where he just looks so good, right? Where he looks like he could be an NFL starter. And then there are moments where, it doesn't look like he could be an NFL starter. I hope that Quinn Ewers' legacy at Texas does not get, what's the word? Does not get tainted, I guess, by the fact that he lost this game and the fact that he lost to Washington. remember where this program was. Remember 5-7 a few years ago. 10 years of Texas football being in the absolute pits. Um, and Quinn Ewers and Steve Sarkisian come to town, and year one was a little rough, but then there were some injuries and just didn't quite go the way that we would have hoped it would go. Then 8-4, so 5-7, 8-4, and then semifinal appearance in back-to-back years. Quinn Ewers is a big part, a massive part of the turnaround of this program, and you have to give him some credit for that. Actually, I think you have to give him a lot of credit for that. And he really has grown up as a quarterback in the Texas system, which is really exciting. People called for Arch all year. Sarkisian had to deal with, a really difficult quarterback situation all year. The pressure on Ewers, the pressure on Sarkisian, and credit to both of those guys. It's a really tough situation and a difficult situation. And credit to Arch for being willing to to sit back and say, this does not need to be my team this year. I'm here to develop. I'm here to improve, and I'm ready to go next year. Another thing that has to be talked about, if you're going to talk bad about Quinn Ewers after this game, once again, no run game in this game. Once again, every single big game that Texas has been in this year, the offensive line has gotten beat. The run game has gotten beat. We have had sub 50-yard rushing games in against Georgia twice, Arizona State once, and Ohio State once. I mean, there needs to be a run game. If you're gonna go blame Quinn Ewers, that's fine, but like, there's no threat of a run game, and it's not easy when there's no threat of a run game. Especially, consider what Will Howard's got at Ohio State. He's got two running backs who can beat you anytime, anywhere. Two running backs that can do it, three crazy weapons on the outside. Jeremiah Smith, by the way, one catch for 3 yards. Texas completely took him out of the game. Had to go to Carnell Tate a bunch of times, had to go to Ibuka a bunch of times. I mean, the defensive scheme in this game was incredible. Credit to Quinn Ewers. He really did play very well, other than run it lane, 2 sacks that he ran into, but he had a few moments that were just absolutely brilliant in this game. No run game, the play call on 2nd and 1, and the play call on blitzing a corner to give up a 90 or a 75-yard screen pass. That's how you lose a semifinal game. You could get away with that against UTEP or Vanderbilt or Kentucky, but that's Ohio State across the field from you, and we've got to be better. We've got to be buttons up. Overall, successful season for Texas. I'm not some delusional fan who's going to sit here and say it's championship or bust every year. Although it did feel like this was a championship caliber team, and it really sucks to not waste, but it sucks to not win when the defense was of the caliber that the defense is. I believe the future for Texas is reload, and it's not rebuild, it's just reload. 5-star freshman coming in, a couple returning offensive linemen, Arch Manning, hopefully Malik Muhammad sticking around. And there are like 20, 25 guys that declared for the draft, but that's what happens when you're a good team. Alabama loses 20, 25 guys every year. Ohio State, Georgia, like you want to be a perennial powerhouse program, get ready to reload. Every single year, you're going to have to reload. So I think that's what Texas is going to do. And there's nobody I trust more than Steve Sarkisian to get that done. So credit to Ohio State. I like them to win the Natty. We'll get to that when we go into preview, but they're just really, really good. They had a down game in this game. Texas's defense schemed Jeremiah Smith out of the game, and still they're able to come away with the win. They've got dudes everywhere, players everywhere. And really only one weakness, and it's at cornerback. And, that can be mitigated in a few different ways, and most likely won't matter too much against Notre Dame, frankly. All right. In the Capital One Orange Bowl on Thursday night, we had Notre Dame, Penn State. Another game that was defined by, one or two plays. Um, First, credit to Notre Dame. Uh, Down at the half, rallied hard, came out and competed, played with heart. I mean, every time you talk about this Notre Dame team, you talk about how they compete, how they play with heart. Um, you talk about intangibles, right? Like you never talk about Notre Dame in these big matchups. Like they're outmanned versus Georgia. They're outmanned versus Penn State. Like they had smaller, weaker bodies than those teams, you know? Um, First half of this Penn State Notre Dame game, Penn State came out and pushed Notre Dame around, and it looked like finally like a team with the bigger bodies is gonna abuse this Notre Dame team. And they just continue to play with heart. They continue to find a way. They're exceptionally well coached. Marcus Freeman, I don't know who I trust more in crunch time situations as a coach. Um, just consistently seems to make the right decision, does the right thing, and is building a real culture at Notre Dame, building a culture of winning there. And that's exciting. Credit to him. I think football is better when Notre Dame is good and when Notre Dame is relevant. As much as I don't like Notre Dame and as much as I don't like Ohio State, like I think it is good for football that there are new faces in the championship because it's been some time for Ohio State. I mean, it's been some time, not like a while, but like Notre Dame, it's been a while, like a long while. It would have been cool to see Texas get into this game, but that's neither here nor there. Um, People are going to rip on Drew Aller like crazy in this game for what happened in this game. And a matter of fact, people already are. I mean, this is coming out a week after the game, so people have torn Drew Aller to shreds after this game. His wide receiver room had 0 catches for 0 yards. Are we aware of that? Like, yes, Drew Aller could have played better. He was not good enough in this game, and he made mistakes. He made bad mistakes, even a couple times. But the receiver room had 0 catches for 0 yards. You watch that game, it's like these Penn State receivers cannot separate. It's either Tyler Warren or nothing all game long. Notre Dame completely shut down the Penn State receivers. And on the pick at the end, which everybody did clown him for, frankly. I mean, he's talking about it in the post game interview. I would play the clip, but I don't know whether I legally can because of copyright, so I won't. But effectively, he says something along the lines of, going through my progressions. The first two reads are on my left, right? Are on Drew Aller's left. He looks left to receiver one, looks left to progression two, says, no options there. And then progression three is usually not going to be a feet set on platform type of throw, right? I mean, when you're getting to progression three, progression four, more often than not, you're pressured in some way. He's pressured. He's on progression three, and he makes the throw. Now, progression three also is not really supposed to be a crossing route over the middle. Because a crossing route over the middle late, what's the cardinal sin of being a quarterback? Don't throw it across the middle late. Well, that's what the play call is calling for him to do. And he's throwing it to a spot where his receiver should be, but the Penn State receivers don't separate all game long. Receiver doesn't separate on that play. And the DB says, thank you very much. I'll take my interception and we'll go on to the national championship. Drew Aller was not good enough in this game. I'm not going to sit here and act like he was good enough to win or defend the guy. But I am going to defend the guy. Did he play a perfect game? No, not by a long shot. But was he severely undermanned? Yeah, he was. He was severely undermanned. Credit to Notre Dame, though. Another thing I wanted to call out with Notre Dame, that Jeremiah Love touchdown was a man touchdown. Just like 6, 7 defenders draped on him, broke 3, 4 tackles. He's got a bum knee, just manned right through them all. Showed the power, showed the strength. I'm a big, big Jeremiah Love fan. All right, let's just go right into the preview for college. Just since we're in the college world, we've got Ohio State, Notre Dame. Ohio State opened as a 9.5 point favorite, and it looks like it's come down to 8 points. I got to tell you, I like Ohio State. I'd take them at 10. I would take them at 10. I think that they're just going to be way too good for this Notre Dame team. I think, for Notre Dame, like, yeah, like, you can beat Penn State, but Penn State showed in the first half of that game that this Notre Dame team can be pushed around on the offensive side. I mean, they were running the ball through Notre Dame. They were getting big burst at the line of scrimmage, big push at the line of scrimmage, play in and play out against Notre Dame. I have no doubt that Ohio State will be able to do the same thing, and they've got the talent on the outside, and they've got a better defense. I just think Notre Dame is not going to be up to snuff when it comes to dealing with this Ohio State team. Matter of fact, I would have told you that the Cotton Bowl Classic was de facto national championship. I think whoever won that game would most likely go on to win the championship. I really like Ohio State in this game. I like them by 10. Marcus Freeman will have the boys ready. Like Notre Dame will come ready to play. I just think Ohio State is way, way better than Notre Dame is. And I think they're gonna boat race them, honestly. I like them by 10 plus. Not by 30. Like it's not gonna be like Tennessee or Oregon, but I think they will go out there and handle business, frankly. I think they're just better. Um, all right, let's go NFL. So NFL, we did the wild card weekend last weekend. Uh, Kind of stunk, to be honest. It kind of stunk. Was not that good of games. The competition was not that great. Um, it's funny, everybody points this out on Twitter, and I'm the last person in the world to talk about this because it's been talked about on Twitter 100 times by now. But everybody was clowning, and we'll go back to it. We'll go back to the bracket. Everybody was clowning on the first round of the college football playoff, a 14-point game. This one's 25, 28, 10-point game, right? Like these are blowouts. These games suck. These teams don't belong. Well, here's a 14-point win. Here's a 20-point win. Here's a 24-point win. Here's a, what is that, 18-point win. Here's a 12-point win that easily could have been 20 plus. And there's one competitive game in the wild card round. And, nobody's clamoring for, the Vikings to be left out. Nobody's clamoring for the Chargers to be left out. I will say that I think the NFL playoffs was better at 6 teams per conference. And, don't shoot me for that, but I do think it was better at 6 teams per conference. I liked 2 teams getting buys. And, the 7 seeds, they haven't won. They won one game. And they typically get blown out. So I don't know. I don't think that the 7 seed is necessary. Will we ever go back to 6 teams? No, we'll never go back. But I really don't think the 7 seed, in hindsight, was a very good addition to the NFL playoffs. And then we had some blowouts. I was right on all the games except for one. So let's just breeze by the ones I was right about. First, we'll go in reverse. The Rams blew out the Vikings. Sam Darnold turned into a pumpkin, like we kind of expected he would. Sorry. I need water desperately here. Give me 1 second. Oh, all right. You ever just feel like you're running out of air because you haven't drank water? Maybe just me. Anyway, Sam Darnold kind of turned into a pumpkin on Monday night. And we knew that he wasn't, he's not Matt Stafford. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to go out there and like single-handedly win a game, especially against the Rams team that's this good. But we also saw what the Lions could do just by heating him up, right? In week 18, heating up Sam Darnold, and he just could not handle it. The Rams did the same thing. They've got a great pass rush. They heated him up. He looked absolutely terrible. And, the Rams are good. The Rams are very dangerous, and a team that you should be worried about, frankly. You should be worried about the Rams. I don't think they're going to beat the Eagles. I think the Lions, honestly, are a better draw for the Rams than the Eagles, and they probably were rooting hard for the Bucks. At least if I were them, I would be rooting hard for the Bucks. But you play who's in front of you, and we'll see what happens. For the Vikings, it's another season where you look good all regular season, you make the playoffs, you lose round one. Now you've got to make a decision about Sam Darnold. You got to make a decision about JJ McCarthy. You got to make a decision about Kevin O'Connell. By the way, that decision should be made already. It should be extend him. He should win Coach of the Year, and deservedly so. So the Vikings are in a weird spot. They've got a lot of decisions to make. I think they won't go and pay Sam Darnold, especially, I mean, not franchise quarterback money. He might get the Baker deal or the Daniel Jones deal, right? Where it's a couple years guaranteed, and then we can cut you, something like that. Um, and if it goes the Baker route, then he earns an extension. And if it goes the Daniel Jones route, you cut him. So maybe he ends up somewhere in that kind of space. Anyhow, it's kind of a tough end to a really nice season for the Vikings. Remember, this team was projected to win 5.5 games preseason. They go 14-3 in the regular season. They lose round one of the playoffs. Yeah, it does feel a little bad, but also the season is absolutely a success. It's absolutely a success. I had the Rams in this game. I thought that the pass rush would be enough to heat up Sam Darnold. They were an underdog. I didn't understand it. And that one comes true. Rams 27, Vikings 9. Bucks Commies, I thought was going to be an interesting, fun game. The only game that I truly thought would be close of the weekend. Or that's not necessarily true. I thought the Packers might be able to hang, and they couldn't, but we'll get to that. But this was the game that really just felt like a toss up. I mean, these are the two worst teams in my estimation in the NFC, and they go at it head to head. Jaden Daniels did something that rookies just don't do, which is go on the road and win a playoff game. You just don't see that. It's only been done like 3 or 4 times, and he looked incredible doing it. His poise is incredible. His movement, his pocket presence. I mean, he is just so good. He's so good, and it gives me hope as a Giants fan to watch Jaden Daniels play, that maybe if we somehow hit on a quarterback to the extent that the Commanders hit on their quarterback, there's hope for the future of the franchise, right? Like, that's the kind of player Jaden Daniels is. And he's just been doing it all year. He's doing it all year, and he looks good. He looks really good. For the Bucks, it's a tough end to the season to get beat at home. It's a game you could have won. Plenty of opportunities for both teams to win this game. And Baker made a bad mistake late. He was kicking himself for it. The Bucks, when I think of the Bucks, I just think heart. Very similar to that Notre Dame team, just all heart. Maybe not as talented as other teams. The Falcons were assembling the Avengers this offseason. It was like everybody loved the Falcons to go win that division. And the Bucks just, maybe with a slightly worse roster than the Falcons, just go out and keep winning, win the division. And, the season, yeah, it's a success. This era of Buccaneers, I'm not really sure can win a Super Bowl. Like, I like Baker. I'm a Baker guy. Can Baker take this team to a Super Bowl? I don't think so. It would take a phenomenal defense, right? Like a really good defense. And Mike Evans is getting older. He's still playing well, but he's getting older. Godwin got hurt. They're in an interesting spot moving forward. But you've got Baker, who had his best season of his career, in my opinion. And Bucky Irving's an exciting young rookie. Jalen McMillan is really coming into his element late in the year. This team, like, they are good. They're going to be competitive next year, and probably the year after that, and probably the year after that. Like, they're in a good spot. It's just, you lose round one to the Commanders on your home field. It feels a little bad. It's a tough end to the season. Eagles Packers, first play of the game, kickoff. Packers receive, run 20 yards, get smoked, fumble, Eagles ball, touchdown, 7-0. And it's like, oh boy, like this game's over. And credit to the Packers, honestly, for hanging around with the Eagles after that start. It felt like the Eagles were just gonna run them over, and the Packers hung tough. Uh, the Eagles, it felt like, could have won this game by 20 plus, and just made some small mistakes here and there that prevented them from being able to do so. But I mean, for a game that you thought would be close, the Packers were probably the most dangerous of these wild card teams in most people's opinions. Um, and the Eagles just go out there and handle business. These Eagles are really, really good. I've said they're my Super Bowl pick for a while now. I'm not backing down. I still like the Eagles, although I'm really high on the Rams. Um, I think this Eagles team is the most complete team in football, and I'm sold on them. Absolutely sold on them. Uh, in the AFC, we had more matchups that I predicted correctly. So far, I'm 3 for 3. Let's go to 4 for 4. Bills 31, Broncos 7. Total blowout. Close for a little bit. The Bills dominated time of possession, dominated yards, were unable to score for the beginning of this game. And then the floodgates opened and they started scoring. And it was like, yeah, this Bills team is just vastly better than this Broncos team. And they run away with it 31-7. Never felt close after that. Super successful season for the Broncos. You've got a guy in Bo Nix, like similar to the Commanders, except maybe not quite to that level. You've got a guy in Bo Nix. He's mature, he's old and mature, and capable and competent. Uh, you gotta build a roster around him, and this Broncos team, they're not going to go away. You've got Pat Surtain and Bo Nix. You've got two young stars, frankly. So I don't think this team's going anywhere. I think they'll improve. Are they going to win the West? No, it'll probably be a while because Mahomes is still there, but they are getting, they're totally heading in the right direction. Really, really good season for the Broncos. Just ran into a juggernaut in this Buffalo Bills team that they were never going to beat in Buffalo, in my estimation, at least. Ravens 28, Steelers 14. Now I'm 5 for 5. Ravens are just way better than the Steelers. This Steelers team, it felt like, just kind of quit. They, since late November, it just hasn't felt like they're a real threat. They go on a 5-game, 6-game losing streak to end the year. Just never was a real contender. They need an answer at quarterback. They've been without a quarterback for way too long. And whether, what they decide to do with Mike Tomlin will be interesting. I think they should keep him, but I don't know. I mean, sometimes a change of scenery is nice for both parties. So who knows? I think that the Ravens are really good. I think that Ravens Bills game is going to be a lot of fun. And this Ravens Steelers game, it was close for maybe 3 minutes of game time, where it was like the Steelers might be mounting a little comeback here, and then Ravens just shut it down. And that was that. All right, so I'm 5 for 5 so far. My only miss of the weekend is the miss that, everybody was on this. Everybody was on this. These Texans looked absolutely decrepit. They limped into the playoffs, and it looked like they were just going to fizzle out and roll over and die. Well, how's 32-12 for you? How's a blowout at home for you? Not a lot of people had this one. I did not have this one. That pass rush, Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, absolutely a problem. Justin Herbert throws 3-4 picks in this game. And it's a really nice win for the Texans. A big statement, I think, by that defense, by D'Amico Ryans. CJ Stroud, I thought, played well in this game. Joe Mixon played well in this game. And while they're probably not going to go to Kansas City and beat the Chiefs, I think getting a playoff win out of this season, where you lost Diggs, you lost Collins for a while, you lost Tank Dell, it does feel like a pretty big win, right? To me, it feels like a massive win. All right, let's do some picks. Let's do some picks. We've got 4 games here. We've got the spreads in the top right corner of each of the games. Let's just go in chronological order. So we've got the 2 1-seed games on Saturday, and we've got the 2 2-seed games on Sunday. So the games they think will be less competitive Saturday than more competitive games on Sunday. First, Chiefs, Texans at Arrowhead. Um, a lot of people are saying the Texans, I mean, I don't know. It's just TV. Like they're just trying to entertain you and fill the time. And I could talk for a while about how maybe this pass rush and maybe that guy CJ and maybe that coaching. But I mean, come on. Like, who are we kidding here? I think the Chiefs are just too good. They're just too good. They should go out there and handle business. The 8 points is interesting though, right? Because we've said it once, we've said it a million times. This Chiefs team does not blow people out. They have not really been blowing people out this year, especially close, close in talent teams. Are we sure they're going to cover 8 points? I think they will. I think they'll flip the switch for playoff time. I just would like to see them flip the switch, right? And they can do it. That's the reason I think I like them against the spread is they can flip the switch. They've done it every single year, and I expect them to do it again. So I'm gonna before everybody else figures out that they flipped the switch, I'm gonna call that they will flip the switch. I like them by 8. Would I go take out a loan against my house? No, I wouldn't do that. But I do think they're probably going to win this game by 8. You want to talk about a 1 seed that I don't like against the spread, though? Let's talk about these Lions. Let's talk about these Lions. And this is an uncomfortable truth for many. First, that defense is banged up. That defense is banged up, and they have not been playing well lately. They're a 9.5-point favorite against the Commanders. All right. Second, if you were to, go back and look at their teams they've beaten, the Lions, can we do it? Yes, we can. They've got a win against the Rams, 1-score game at home, week 1. Lost to the Bucks, week 2, at home. Then they played a bunch of bad teams, beat them, good job. Beat the Vikings, close. The Vikings that we've now found out are maybe not that great, right? Maybe not that great. Bad team, beat them. Packers, okay, yeah, decent win. Texans, 5 picks for Jared Goff. They find a win. Jaguars, blow them out. Colts, blow them out. Bears, beat them narrowly, but beat them. Packers, beat them narrowly, but, close enough, I guess. They win the game. Again, a Packers team that's maybe not that great. Lose to the Bills in a shootout where they allow 48 points and Josh Allen looks like he can do whatever he wants. Beat the Bears, beat the Niners, close, and then blow out the Vikings. There's not a lot of statement wins on this resume, right? Like if you were seeding this team for the playoffs, and let's say it was a college football style and it was a committee. Yeah, you do the eye test and say this Lions team is really good, but I'm not sold on them as a Super Bowl contender. I'm really not. I think they're good, definitely, and they could threaten to win the Super Bowl, but I don't think they're anywhere near as complete a team as the Eagles, as the Bills, as the Ravens, or as the Chiefs. I think there are 4 teams better than them in these playoffs. Well, okay, I didn't list the Commanders. So do I think the Commanders are going to win this game outright? Probably not. I don't think they're going to win this game outright. However, the entire world is on Lions spread and Lions money line. It's like 90% of the money and 95% of the bets are on the Lions in this game. I just think the Commanders aren't getting enough credit. I think I'm going to pick them the cover on the show. I'm going to pick them the cover. And, while the Lions, they're very good and they probably will win the game. And they might even cover. I just think nobody's giving the Commanders any credit in this game. Nobody's giving them a chance at all. Give me the Commanders to cover 9.5. It's a lot of points for playoff football. All right, quick water. So that's going to be our Saturday. Then on Sunday, we're going to stick in the NFC, and we've got Eagles, Rams. This one's at the Link in Philadelphia. And these are my two favorite teams left in the playoffs. And no, I don't like the Eagles. I'm a Giants fan. But again, I've been picking them to win the Super Bowl all year. I'm not going to stop now. And I think this Rams team is just so dangerous, just so much more dangerous than people are giving them credit for, and than people have been giving them credit for all year. Remember, this team lost Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup, was like 1-5, and then just strung together win after win after win, won the division, hammered the Vikings in round one, and now they go to the Eagles, who ran the ball all over the Rams the first time they played, um, and are the better team than the Rams. But I like the Rams better at quarterback. I like the Rams better at coach. And that's about it. But quarterback and coach are both pretty big deals. I think you would agree. So I don't think the Rams are out of this game. I think they keep it competitive. I think the Eagles win, and I think the Eagles cover. But I do think that it's competitive the entire time. Give me the Eagles by 7 exactly. Let's say Eagles 31, Rams 24. Fun, competitive game. I really think this one will be, and I'm really excited for this one. Now, the big game this weekend is a 1 point spread with the road team favored. It's Lamar Jackson and the Ravens versus Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. It's in Buffalo. The Ravens are a 1 point favorite. These are the top two, MVP candidates. We'll talk about that all week, I'm sure. I don't think the Ravens should be favored in this game. I know they played already and the Ravens hammered them. I think the Bills are a better team than they were that day. I think they've really, really improved as the year has gone on. And they've shown, honestly, time and time again, that they can win big games. They've shown an ability to outscore teams. Think the Lions game. Like, the Lions were like, yeah, we can run the ball all over you. And the Bills were like, okay, we're just going to throw the ball all over you. And guess what the Ravens are really weak at? Secondary. One of the weakest secondaries still in this playoff, if not, this weakest or second weakest. So I like the Bills. I think they are better. I think they've been better all year. I think Josh Allen is the better quarterback. I think the big advantage for the Ravens is Derrick Henry. And while, I could absolutely see the Ravens running for 1,000,000 yards on this team, the Bills, I think, showed in the Lions game an ability to go throw on, an inferior secondary and beat them up. I like the Bills. I like the Bills. And I feel like the whole world's on the Ravens. I like the Bills. And it does comfort me a little with that pick that Lamar has struggled in the playoffs in big games in years past. This Steelers team limped into the playoffs. I mean, literally rolled over and died their way into the playoffs. Like, I'm just not convinced. I'm not convinced, and I like the Bills. And you're not gonna, I'm not gonna apologize for that. So I've got the Chiefs by a lot, the Lions by a little, Commanders cover, the Eagles by exactly a touchdown. So I have the Eagles to cover, although I love the Rams. I love the Rams. And I wish they were playing the Lions because I would pick them to beat the Lions. But that's neither here nor there. I've got the Eagles over the Rams by exactly a touchdown. And I've got the Bills, let's say by 3 at home against Baltimore. I think they're better. I just think they're better. And it should be a great weekend. I'm really looking forward to it. One of the best weekends in the sport, if not the best weekend in the sport. And I also have Ohio State in the national championship. So should be a lot of fun. Hope you enjoy watching it. I know I'm going to enjoy watching it. So once again, if you would interact with the show in any way you please, if you've made it all the way through, thanks so much for watching. And I will see all of you for some super, or not super. Well, it will be super, but it's not for the Super Bowl. I'll see you for some recap and maybe some divisional, or what would it be called? Some conference round preview next week. So looking forward to it. Going to be a great weekend of football. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.